The champions have arrived. ARC's Race of Champions, the third edition, is about to get underway. 60 laps of action from the world center of racing. Ryan Pennell, Aiden Norman on the front row, ready to race. $200 on the line. Green flag is out. Let's go racing. Bluegrass Bandit, Briley Wright in the number 8. White, Holden on the outside, 3 wide as Massachusetts' Jeremy Brio shoots to the outside. Thursday Night Thunder champion Aiden Norman completes that red, orange, yellow trifecta. Still not up to full speed as the draft starts to kick in. Aiden Norman, the Thursday Night Thunder champion, leads lap number 1 at Daytona. Bama Trama in the chat, what's going on? Mama Vols, glad you could make it. Brio on the outside with Briley right behind him. The cars are very sturdy. The draft with this massive wing is alive and well. And look at them all spread out. Dustin Painter in the 6.5 on the outside of Briley Wright. Jeremy Brio in at 7.4. Can't quite clear Aiden Norman, who's now edging that yellow Ford on the outside. And if you've seen Aussie V8 supercars before, you know that the Ford versus Holden battle runs deep in that blood. Fiend Daddy in the chat says, put on a show, fellas. Kev, how you doing? Shout out Kevin Feemster in the chat as well. Fastest lap so far goes to New Jersey's Tristan Catania in that number 48 purple machine. Up 2 places from where he started, but of course that's going to change every other corner. The number 20 of John Honeybrink just ahead in that rose-colored car. Honeybrink and Catania both racing Ford Mustangs. Then you've got drivers like Aiden Norman, Thomas Andrews, Jimmy Kerr, Briley Wright, all racing Holden Commodores, or in the United States, what we might know as a Buick Regal. The package guys in the chat, what's going on? Long time as well. Glad to have you here. Glad to have everybody who's tuned in for this race. You're watching AROC 3, the ARC's Race of Champions in its 3rd edition, round number 1 here at the Daytona International Speedway. Aiden Norman leading the field so far. It's a 60-lap shootout. Drivers are going to have approximately 20 laps of fuel. On a green flag run, you get 2 tire changes in tonight's race. Norman still leads, and it's going to look like this all night long. You think this is something, just watching this heavy bump drafting back and forth. Let's see what it looks like from Aiden Norman's point of view. Contact through the corners. Thomas Andrews now struggling to get it going once again. The number 2 has to regain that speed. He's lost just a bit of control. Let's see what happened to one of those New Jersey pilots, Thomas Andrews. Contact with Dustin Painter, the 65 car. Getting loose. Have another look. This is going into turn number 1. Let's see if we can get closer here. Now, this is still just coming out of the front straight. Coming out of turn number 2, I believe. Have a look at Dustin Painter. Just look at the way the draft plays such a great effect on these race cars. The way they weave about. This could be the lap prior, actually. I'm not sure. But contact was made by Andrews there. We'll see where he's ended up. Let's take a look. He's on the outside. That Navy machine almost making contact. How about Aiden Norman going 3 wide? Jonathan Honeybrink in the Mustang on the left-hand side. Ryan Pennell behind him. Everybody just trying to catch their breaths as the race cars jostle back and forth. Tristan Catania, your new leader in that purple 48. Maybe a little bit of damage to the right front of that Mustang. That's Jeremy Brio behind him in the yellow machine. Tom Sears in the Dayglow number 14 Mustang behind the Holden Commodore of Aiden Norman. Coming to lead lap number 8, it's Tristan Catania with a bumper full of Jeremy Brio. Getting unorganized once again. There goes one car right there. Jimmy Kerr going around the number 75 machine. Sitting in 11th. He saves it. He keeps it off the wall. They're still racing at the front. And there is the yellow flag for the first time. Aiden Norman, Jeremy Brio, John Honeybrink. Your top 3, James Kerr III goes around as the sun reflects gold off of the blue Lake Lloyd, and the left-hand side of that race car is just ruined. Let's go back and see what happened to JK3. Already contact. There's the lime car of Ryan Pennell. There's the 12. Possibly trying to avoid John Honeybrink. 4 wide for a brief and shining moment. Thomas Andrews just barely getting away with one there too. Brio in the 74. He's already a piece of this here. This started well ahead. Keep your eye on that yellow car. We were on board with Brio. He got right to the inside of Catania, who went down. Tristan might have just lost control of the race car. Watch the purple car there. Yeah, Jeremy just gets to his corner. Bump drafts him a little too hard. Everyone's scrambling to avoid all of that, and then nowhere for Dustin Painter to go. He gets in the left-hand side. And one more time. Painter just gets a piece of that as everybody scrambles. But it's going to give the drivers a chance to catch their breath, and Jimmy is messed up. He's going to have to repair that race car. 11 laps into this one. Aiden Norman sits still. He's coming down for fuel, possibly tires as well. Drivers will have about 20-ish laps on one fuel run. Let's see, Aiden Norman is the first out. It's going to be Jeremy Brio. Then it looks like John Honeybrink will be third as these drivers will come around and grab that pace truck. So we're going to take a short 60-second break. We'll be back with more of AROC 3 from iRacing's Daytona. about to complete the 20% mark when we get the green flag. Aiden Norman currently leads the way. Jeremy Brio is on his outside. We're going to see these V8 supercars restart here for the first time. And if this is your first time watching AROC, you might be wondering, well, what the hell is AROC? The ARC's Race of Champions, so kind of an acronym within an acronym. Don't worry about it. It's supposed to sound like iRock. If you've seen something that might resemble this before, yeah. You remember those Pontiac Trans Ams that used to go around here at amazing speeds. This is kind of what that might be a little callback to. $200 is on the line in this 6-race event. It starts with Daytona, it ends with Texas, and somewhere in between there we're going to have Pocono, Watkins Glen, Indianapolis, and COTA. So keep your eyes out for that. How about keep your eyes out for this restart? Green flag will be out. 13 laps underway from Daytona. Brio shoots to the outside. Look at Honeybrink go with him. That's Pinnell in the red Ford as well. And we're going to talk about this Ford versus Holden rivalry that these V8 supercars are famous for, and a little celebration of Australian culture as well. Norman leads, Briley right behind him, Holden 1-2. It was Norman in the 6-2 who won that second edition of the ARC's Race of Champions. How about Tom Sears using the draft to go 3 wide on the top side? He's trying to bring his Mustang up front. It's the two Holdens of Norman and Wright down on that yellow line, and a bunch of Mustangs behind them. Dustin Painter, the next Holden in that olive-colored machine. Coming down into that third corner, look at Briley Wright just exploring below that yellow line. Possibly some damage for that Bluegrass Bandit. He's starting to lose that draft. Coming to the line, Thomas Andrews. He's one of those Holdens who gets around him, trying to draft with this top line that has John Honeybrink at the caboose, now pushing Tom Sears. And you can see with this draft, at one point, the cars just won't go any faster at all. They'll only go so fast, and you're going to see that illustrated here. Aiden Norman now on the back foot as Jeremy Brio is single-handedly carving through this. There's the bump from Ryan Pinnell. And Norman finally gets away with it. And these cars are incredibly unstable in the corner. Look at Pinnell just almost off that apron, losing speed. Here comes Catania to give him a push. Sears unstable on the top side, and Dustin Painter now comes along in his Holden Commodore. Andrews goes purple. 46.54, the fastest lap of the race. Catania with 2 tires on the left-hand side, just looking for some clean air to the inside of Aiden Norman. Jeremy Brio on the outside. Norman now on the inside of Pinnell. Everybody just a little squirrely, and there's a bump draft out of turn number 2. Tom Sears behind Jeremy Brio, and hopefully now they gain some stability. Look at Catania just losing control of his Ford. Aiden Norman ahead of him. How about Ryan Pinnell, the North Floridian, at the front of this one? The hometown flavor looking to win in his home race. Ryan from nearby Jacksonville as Tom Sears gets into the wall. John Honeybrink has to avoid him. Jimmy Kerr coming back onto the racetrack right ahead of Briley Wright. Sears now faltering from the lead pack. Drafting his way back, not faltering at all. Tom Sears in that 14, pushing Brio along. Aiden Norman in the 6-2 now has Tristan Catania behind him, who's trying to slingshot on the outside. 5 cars nose to tail on that top line. Norman, Painter, and that's Andrews in that navy-colored Holden. 3 Holdens on the inside, 4 Fords on the top side. I believe there's more Fords than Holdens tonight. And there's Tristan Catania losing control with a bump draft. He keeps it together. Aiden Norman retains the lead. That's just wild. We were saying in practice, we were talking, myself and the drivers, we were talking in practice about how these cars just are incredibly hard to spin out. Earlier this week, I was actually practicing with these drivers as well, and we discovered that these cars are very, very hard to spin out. And Tristan Catania able to hold on to his lunch there as we approach 19 laps complete. Catania in the middle with a big push. 3 Fords in that middle line, 3 Holdens on the low line. Catania potentially trying to block Tom Sears. Kind of a reckless move this early in the race. Sears, though, has no help from Honeybrink. It's all Norman on the inside. 2 North Carolinians nose to tail. Aiden Norman in the orange machine. Dustin Painter in the olive machine. John Honeybrink almost with a wrecked machine. That pink Ford Mustang almost getting turned around, but he was able to save it. Andrews in the 2, now behind Aiden Norman. How about Painter in the wall? Dustin Painter scraping the outside there. Tom Sears behind him. Really getting out of control now. 3 wide, and there's a big wreck right there. Tristan Catania. Tom Sears is involved. Brio. Sears is getting through it. Jeremy Brio getting the brunt of that accident. Thomas Andrews still leading as he crosses the line for lap number 21. Pinnell in second. John Honeybrink in third. Bama Trama with a disappointed emoji. There's Brio by his lonesome, and the caution finally comes out. Brio, not how he wanted his race to go. Watch the yellow Ford Mustang on the low side. Brio shoots to the outside. Andrews goes up. There's the contact from Norman to Andrews to Brio. Honeybrink's involved. Brio again. Tom Sears just gets on the brakes and avoids that one. And Jeremy still fishtailing all through turn number 4, able to survive. Have another look. On board now with Brio. Eyes on the yellow car in the center. That's Brio. Watch the orange car of Aiden Norman in the 6-2. He may just come off the apron. No, Thomas Andrews might have just tried to correct the car in the center. Ryan Pinnell gets a piece of Aiden Norman. Jeremy Brio in that yellow Mustang tries to hold it together. Let's ride on board with Tom Sears and get his point of view. This was nuts. Great brakes by Tom Sears. That right there is going to earn the Massachusetts pilot his very own Cole Trickle move of the race.
Ice cream!
Trying to blow his engine up or what? Somebody's revving it down there incredibly hard. Sears getting tires, getting fuel. Thomas Andrews wins the race off pit road. And he will lead the field to green when we restart. $200 up for grabs. Just got to survive all 6 races to get it. Thomas Andrews will lead John Honeybrink to the line. When we come back, we'll be back with more AROC from iRacing's Daytona. About to hit the gas pedal once again. Thomas Andrews is going to lead the field to the line. John Honeybrink is going to be on the outside. We're going to have 36 laps to go when we take the green. We're going to restart from our second caution tonight. Thomas Andrews, the Season 4 Thursday Night Thunder champion, ahead of John Honeybrink. This is a culmination of a bunch of ARC's championships. If you have won a championship in the Alliance Racing Championship Series, this is your reward, the chance to fight for $200. One driver is going to get it at the end of 6 races. We're going to restart this race. Andrews to the inside, Honeybrink to the outside. 36 to go, and the sun starts to set at the World Center of Racing. Green flag is out. Let's do it again. Andrews to an early jump on his outside. Jeremy Brio surviving from that recent crash, definitely using his fast repair. Honeybrink behind him, 2x2, 3 rows deep, but here comes the 4-8. Tristan Catania on the outside. Manufacturers mixing on the left-hand side. Jeremy Brio in that 7-4 Mustang is your new leader. Here comes Norman now coming down to the inside. Off turn number 4, yellow, blue, orange, 1, 2, 3. Brio Andrews, Norman. Drag race to the line, leading lap number 25. It's Thomas Andrews by 3/100ths of a second. We've got a friend in the booth. One of Thursday Night Thunder's winners and a driver on the roster tonight, Toby Estes, one of those Bluegrass Bandits, now joining the booth. How are you, buddy? Contact, and there's some crashing coming out of that second corner. They survive. They keep it moving. Brio on the inside, now trying to get a big push from Ryan Pinnell, the North Floridian, in that red Mustang. Aiden Norman will sneak behind his fellow North Carolinian. You've got 3 Mustangs, 3 Holdens, Ford versus GM on the high banks of Daytona. Let's try that again, Toby, as Jeremy Brio goes around the outside. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hated that I missed the race. Kind of got a little mixed up on times there, but hey, I would do anything to be out here with these guys right now. These cars are an absolute blast. Definitely can't block the runs when somebody comes up. I mean, these things are fast.
There they go, spreading out 2 and 3 wide. They fan out down the backstretch. Pinnell on the outside in that red Ford. He's got Jeremy Brio trying to hope and pray and wish he doesn't cut him off in turn number 3. Pinnell won't. Norman on the top side. That's not Norman, I'm sorry. That's Norman's in the orange car. Painter's in the olive car. It's so hard getting these colors right. Toby, these supercars are just a blast to watch, man. But I think we discovered in practice earlier this week, they only go so fast, and you have to rely on either a push or a slingshot draft to get around somebody.
Yeah, I mean, I think the funnest thing to do is obviously slingshot people, but if you want to win the race, I mean, in NASCAR, you want to be about 2nd to 3rd in line, but with the slingshot in these cars, you could almost be in the back as long as you're in the toe and probably make a move in the middle of 3 and 4 and win the race.
Jimmy Kerr, the third, who was a part of that first accident, goes purple. 46-49 in the lime-colored Holden Commodore. He's behind Nick Pressey, Brooklyn's very own Nick Pressey, in that silver Ford Mustang. Tristan Catania by himself in the purple 48. He's lost the draft, Toby, and these 3 guys are going to have to wait for that next caution because the draft with these race cars is way too important.
Oh, yeah, the draft is key here. If you lose it, you're probably definitely out of it. But the only thing I got to ask is, who do you expect to win this? Obviously, Ryan Pinnell's really good at the super speedways. But it's all full of champions. Who's your favorite? Who you got?
The guy that survives this crash right here, Dustin Painter's trying to just keep it moving. Norman's going to get behind him. Jeremy Brio looks poised. How about Nick Pressey, though, using that draft when I just said a lap ago? Toby, I said a lap ago, Nick Pressey could not, was going to lose that draft. Here he is leading this race. That right there shows you how just powerful that draft is, and I want to check this out again. I know they're drag racing for the lead, but let's go back and just check this out. Nick Pressey having just the most impressive lap I've ever seen at Daytona. Where did and again, you just got to ask yourself, where did he come from? Because there's Pressey behind Tristan Catania right here. And this is crossing the line for a lap ago, but he's going to use the draft here, Toby, to get around Tristan, and he's just going to pick these guys off one by one.
Yeah, I think the draft is a lot stronger in these cars than to what we're accustomed to in the Cup. And watching live now, I think he's kind of learned that. So, I mean, you may see him kind of just fall back and run around and make a couple practice attempts here at the end of the race, towards the end of the race. Just kind of seeing how far he can get back. But, I mean, considering the run he got there, that probably wouldn't be a bad idea. Just kind of hang around the rear and get that slingshot there for the end of the race.
We're going to go back to live pictures in a moment. We're just illustrating where Nick Pressey got that run from. It was the fastest lap of this race, 46:31 if you round it down, but just using that draft to an incredible advantage. And he came from, what, 7th up into the lead. That just was way too impressive. There's Pressey, though. He's already at the back of it all. And like you said, Toby, just the draft, you live and you die by it. So when we ask ourselves, who's going to win this race? Anybody who's got the draft, I guess, it has a chance to win this race.
Pretty much.
See Pinnell blinking like crazy there. Looks like he's settled once again. We've crossed the halfway mark. 32 laps complete at the World Center of Racing. If you just tuned in, I'm Rick James. I've got one of the Bluegrass Bandits, Toby Estes, sharing the booth, and the 1-2 of Ryan Pinnell. Now trying to get sole possession of the lead. $200 is on the line. Most points after 6 races gets the cash. We start with Daytona. Next week we go to Circuit of the Americas. Round 3, Pocono. Round 4, Indianapolis. Watkins Glen, and then the Oval at Texas to finish it all off. Brio with sole possession of the lead. Toby, Thomas Andrews in that blue GM shoots to the outside.
Yeah, Thomas Andrews, I mean, he's smart. He knows when to go for it, and as they go 3 wide here. But yeah, very smart driver, very quick. I definitely wouldn't count him out. I like how he drives a lot. Yeah, we've talked about a lot of drivers here, but I mean, you got to give Joshua Gaiman credit throughout any series. Doesn't matter. Even though we're in the supercars and we're having fun here, he's also a very smart driver. As he is going to the outside here, I expect him to probably continue that run. But very smart driver, very fast, as you see him trying to make that high side work, and ducks back in line going down as he shoots back up.
All these drivers last pitting on lap 22 or 23, depending on the last caution. Toby, they're going to be able to go between about 20 to 25 laps, probably, on one tank of fuel as John Honeybrink starts to wiggle in that pink Mustang. He's on the outside, and we tried working this setup, and I think we concluded that this is as stable as those cars were going to get. And they are a handful for sure, as Tristan Catania shoots out of nowhere through the middle right to the front. 46:28 for New Jersey's Tristan Catania, the fastest lap of the race. Where did he come from?
Yeah, and he's probably going to get absolutely swallowed up coming into 3 here, and I wouldn't be surprised if he don't drop back to the end of the pack here.
There's Thomas Andrews now behind him. And you said it, Toby. Again, just the draft is so important, and if you don't have it, I mean, because Catania used it, Catania shot right to the front, but again, your car just stalls out, doesn't it? At a certain point, you got to have someone pushing you because the car just hits a brick wall when there's no more draft left.
Yeah, it's kind of like you said, a brick wall, or it's almost like you pass all them guys and lose that push behind you. You may as well just throw the car in neutral and let it coast, because there's absolutely nothing you can do with the amount of draft these cars have.
Tom Sears with a 49.26 the last time around. Leader ran 47.83. Go ahead, Tope.
Yeah, and obviously you ran these cars a little bit with us, so you know exactly how they are, especially in draft. very, very touchy when it comes to bumping somebody, especially in the corner. If you don't hit them just right, you're probably going to end up spinning them or just, losing all momentum.
They're stable, though. That's one thing we did learn, is that you can bump draft with them, and they are, relatively speaking, very stable. But again, in the corner, if you don't do it just right, even on the straightaway, look at John Honeybrink struggle to keep that car. Aiden Norman still trying to make the top line work. Pit stops 5 laps away. Pennell, Brio leading the charge.
Yeah, and I expect these guys, they're probably chatting down there, trying to make this the best race and the best finish, they could possibly get. So I wouldn't be surprised if they all come down, but I was in the chat with the drivers, and surprisingly enough, a little bit on the longer run, they were pushing on exit. So, maybe a little bit of tire strategy, maybe somebody will take rights, maybe somebody will take all 4 tires. So, I'm excited to see how the end of this race plays out.
They're the top speeds for your favorite driver. It looks like Dustin Painter, Thomas Andrews clocking in with a hot 197 miles an hour. Tristan Catania with a 196. Nick Pressey, who had the previous fastest lap before him, 195. I'm actually curious to see what these V8 supercars would really look like here if we put them around here. Someone, if you know anybody over there in Australia that runs these supercars, tell them to put them at Daytona. See what happens, because now I'm really, really interested.
Yeah, what's the worst could happen? There's an added, I guess you could say, handicap. We're used to driving on the right side. These guys are driving on the left side. Who knows? Maybe they could at least come to Daytona and run the thing backwards and just see what happens.
I would pay money to see that. John Honeybrink wants to win some money, though. The number 20 Mustang to the inside of Jeremy Brio. Ryan Pennell with a scraped-up left-hand side, and Tristan Catania sitting in that 3rd position on the bottom line. Here comes Thomas Andrews to give him a heavy bump out of the tri-oval. 41 laps underway, 1-9 as they cross the line next time by. 20 laps to go, and Toby, this is going to be, well, assuming it goes green, this is going to be the final stop of the race when these guys come down pit road.
Yeah, it should be, and if they could go green, honestly, if you slide back here to where Kerr is, at the end of the race, that's kind of maybe where I want to be. You got a car in front of you, you can push him. He's going to get one heck of a tow coming off of turn 4. I'm telling you, I think this finish, you could be pretty far back and still be able to win this race.
Thomas Andrews in that too, sitting just behind Ryan Pennell. I thought Brio was going to go for another spin there. He keeps it moving. Aiden Norman right behind him, trying to push him along down that back straight. Ford and Holden working together on the top side while it's a parade of Fords surrounding Thomas Andrews in the blue machine, and Norman gets left out to dry like a towel in that hot Florida summer sun. Brio to the front. Here comes Ryan Pennell. He's on his way in. John Honeybrink will stay out, coming in at an enormous rate of speed into the pits. Toby, they've got to slow it down. There's Pennell down to 64 miles an hour, bringing it up to 70. And he's going to come down to 0. Meanwhile, Nick Pressey moving at 186 miles an hour with John Honeybrink behind him. Coming off of that 4th corner. Are they coming? No, they're coming out of turn 2, not turn 4. But you got to think they're not going to last more than 1 or 2 laps, and especially out here, Toby, this 2-car tandem is not going to cut it. They need to come down before they lose any more time.
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're trying to do here. Maybe they was hoping that when those guys went into pit road, they would cause a caution. But a whole gaggle of cars coming out of pit road now. It's going to be 10 times better than just 2.
There's Ryan Pennell at 145 and climbing now through that apron section. Just look at the banking of the race cars there. And there's Pressey and Honeybrink in tandem coming out of turn number 2. How about Tom Sears, who's sitting in third? He also has not pitted. He is gambling. Toby, he is by his lonesome. Nope, now he's deciding to come down pit road. Sears is in, the Massachusetts pilot. Going to try and get her woed up as he crosses the line. Well under 60 miles an hour. Pressey now catching up to the yellow car of Jeremy Brio, sitting in that 6th spot. Honeybrink is coming into the pits. Nick Pressey still has not come down. He is running this thing till it goes just out. And Toby, I don't know if, I mean, what, he's got to be gambling on a caution, you know?
I'm not real big about that call. I mean, these guys have been driving these cars for, what, 40-some laps now, a little bit over. At this point, I mean, that was, you know, they're not going to get the pit for tires or anything else unless the caution comes out. So if I'm in that pack, the lead pack, just kind of riding around, and I mean, a caution could very well happen, but I mean, that's not something I would solely base a Daytona race on, as crazy as that sounds. But I mean, we got a lot of good drivers in here, so.
There's the gap, relatively speaking, for most of these drivers. Insignificant for Tom Sears. He sits in the 9th position, not on this pack, already 1 lap off the pace, but in that lucky dog position. Sears, he last pitted on lap 43, so he is 1 lap off the pace. There is Thomas Andrews, currently running in the 2nd position. He last pitted on lap 44. Honeybrink sits in 3rd. There's Nick Pressey, now leaving pit road in top spot. Here comes Jeremy Brio with a big gap back to Dustin Painter, who's going to get that draft and slingshot around the 7-4. Toby, we've got 15 laps to go in round 1.
Yeah, 15 laps to go. I don't think there's going to be any fuel saving here. Probably wouldn't bank on saving tires either. Hopefully these guys can line up and make one hell of a finish here. I mean, these cars are absolutely ridiculous. As Jeremy going to the outside there. I mean, I'm excited the race is going on, but I'm excited to also see the last lap and see how these guys finish this race.
I'll tell you one thing, Toby. The gamble paid off. Pressey, by his lonesome, is going to get swallowed up by his rivals coming up behind him, but the gamble worked for him. The gamble worked for Honeybrink. They proved us wrong, Toby. 14 laps to go. Pressey knew what he was doing. Here comes that high-speed cavalry. He will be overtaken eventually, but what he has guaranteed is that he has the fuel to make it for at least 2 green-white checkered attempts. If it comes to that, it ain't over till it's over. Jeremy Brio just holding off John Honeybrink. And these drivers need to get organized, and they need to catch this man from Brooklyn, because right now he is showing them all up.
Yeah, they better get lined up and start working together, or else, you know, it's not going to do any good. Kind of race these cars like you would a cup car and line up, quit side drafting, you know, get a little pushing. You know, 5 or 6 cars on a straight line is so much better than, you know, 4 or 5 cars and then 2 cars on your outside.
There's the pass. Jeremy Brio slingshotting around Brooklyn's very own Nicholas Pressey. New leader, yellow 74. Brio sits ahead of the pink 20 of Honeybrink. Catania trying to side draft. He's got to be careful. Toby, we found that side drafting kind of works, but you get too close and it's over. Catania leads that lap and leaves Norman dry again. Painter's in the wall big time. Dustin Painter now sliding backwards. Heavy contact with John Honeybrink in that 20. We have 12 laps to go. Fight for the lead. Tristan Catania on the inside. Jeremy Brio on his outside. Aiden Norman pushing the Massachusetts driver to the front.
Yeah, and even though these guys has got a pretty good little run, don't count them guys up coming up as they're coming into three and the caution is out.
Yellow
Yeah,
flag is out. We're going to restart inside the final 10 laps of racing. And let's get around to seeing what happened to Dustin Painter here. This looks like it's coming off of turn number 4. Toby, keep your eyes on that olive car. What happened there? Honeybring's car just snapped to the right. You think it could be netcode? I'm not sure.
I mean, it could be, but the way these steering racks are in these cars, I mean, it's just so touchy. Especially with damage. I mean, if the caution didn't come out, that's Dustin Painter's entire day just gone. I mean, you've got to run these cars and have fun, yes, but I mean these cars are like the last gen cars we ran. I mean they're almost made out of paper. So I mean even the least amount of contact with the wall is going to do a whole lot worse than just break, your right front totally.
I want to see if there was any net code, but sorry, Toby. I wanted to see if there was any net code between them. There's not a good camera angle that shows, but I mean, definitely no physical contact. Lots of moonlight between them. It very well could have been net code, and the caution is out once again. So Jeremy Brio has control of the field. Aiden Norman sits behind him. We now officially have 10 laps to go in regulation. And we're going to get one more lap of caution, at least here, or at least 2 more. Fans at home, stretch your legs, grab a drink, grab some snacks, do what you need to do, and tell your friends to get in this stream. They don't want to miss this. We're going to take a 2-minute break, and we're going to be back for the restart inside 9 laps to go. It's AROC 3 from Daytona. We'll see you in 2.
Way off.
Hey Rick, how many green white checkers do we have?
It's going to be 8 laps to go when we take the green flag. Jeremy Brio, Aiden Norman running on the front row of this race. Toby, it ain't over. We still have so much more racing to go, and there's still 3 green-white checkers if we need them. These V8 supercars are putting on an incredible show. Norman with an incredibly damaged right front. He's missing an entire fender on that race car, Toby.
Yeah, I don't think that's going to do him any favors, especially leading. So if I'm him, I'm probably going to get back and tuck into the draft. But another thing I want to touch on is a few guys pitted there. So, I mean, if I took tires there, I mean, I kind of like that little pit strategy with the amount of laps we have left.
They did have 2 extra sets to their disposal. Brio has control of the field. Aiden Norman to his outside with a missing fender. Jacksonville, Florida's Ryan Pinnell behind Brio. The green flag is out. It's 8 laps to go.
Yeah, with this being Ryan's home track here, I expect him to do very, very well. You know, awesome job at the super speedways as you see him sucking up the German pretty quick here, and the 2 guys behind him trying to get lined up. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be a phenomenal finish to this race, and we'll see if the fresh tires can capitalize on the old tires.
Norman in that orange Holden, now sitting 3rd on the inside. Brooklyn's Nick Pressey to the top. Here comes Tom Sears from Massachusetts trying to slingshot around Dustin Painter in the 6.5. Pressey in the 94 just ahead of that 7.4. Jeremy Brio trying to push another Mustang to the front. You've got 2 Mustangs on the outside and that lonely Holden, but look out. Here comes Aiden Norman, both drivers from North Carolina in that middle line. 7 laps to go, Toby.
Yeah, and I thought Dustin was going to get caught up in the sucker hole there and just kind of fall back, but luckily Aiden came to his rescue, and as you see Dustin going to the outside, Tom Sears loves the outside of these super speedways, loves to wind that car up and get as much momentum as possible as we go into the middle of 3 and 4 here.
Tristan Catania, not sure what he's trying to do on the back, but he's losing rather than gaining ground. Jeremy Brio with 2 tires on the left-hand side sits behind Nick Pressey. That 94 leads the way, 7.4 behind him, really trying to push him along, possibly even move him out of that way. Pressey, Painter, Norman now 3 wide.
Yeah, 3 wide. I don't know how they can hold this, especially the way these cars are in the middle of the corner.
There goes Pressey with a big bump from Brio. They survive. Painter top side. Pressey again shoved out of the way. Dustin Painter in the 65 shooting down to that low side. The 6.2 of Norman with the 2 of Andrews behind him. Sears still strong on the top side. 5 to go this time by.
Yeah, to come back to Tri-Strand here, he was like, hey, what's he doing? And I think he's probably doing exactly what he wants, and that is to avoid the mayhem. They are a little far back, but I'm telling you, the draft on these cars are ridiculous. I still wouldn't count Tri-Strand or Kerr out of this race. Huge push on the backstretch there. 3 wide, huge push in the middle. I don't know if they'll be able to hold on to this or not.
And there you see that caution waving there. Apologies for not monitoring my mic there, but there's a crash there. We're going to have a green-white checker. That got pretty ugly coming out of turn number 4, Toby. Let's take a look. What'd you see?
I mean, just a lot of aggressive driving. I mean, exactly what you expect in this series. I mean, you got the best of the best, the AROCs. I mean, they say they want to save and race safe, but yeah, when the laps are counting down, they're gritting their teeth, and I mean, they're just ready to freaking roll.
There you just see, just trying to find again if there's any net code. This is Ryan Pennell getting around Nick Pressey off turn 4. And the 12 snapped loose, just like Honeybrink snapped loose. And I don't know if there was any contact, Toby. Let's check this out one more time from every angle we can get, but
Do you think it's kind of in the steering rack, or do you think these cars, you know, the arrow's playing a little bit of, you know, just a little bit? I don't know, man. I mean, I know the steering in these cars are twitchy, yes, don't get me wrong, but I mean, arrow could be playing effect from this.
just inches of space between them. Watch one more time, just the gap. You can see plenty of racetrack between Nick Pressey and Ryan Pennell. And the 12 car just snaps loose. And I would say that's a bit of netcode, because you're going to see when they get close, there's almost a bubble of air. You'll see the 12 car twitch. There, the 12 car twitches, points to the right, and then just snaps loose. So in order, it's going to be 12 cars going to twitch, snap, and then crash. And
yeah, and Ryan's kind of been, you know, blinking just a little bit. Obviously, a whole lot better than what it has been. But yeah, I would definitely say a little bit of netcode probably played a factor in that.
Andrews involved, Pressey involved, Pennell caught a piece of that. So drivers are going to pit. We're going to have our first of 3 green, white, checkered attempts. And we're going to see just who can survive. So fans at home, we're going to take another minute's break. We'll be back with the first green, white, checkered attempt. $200 up for grabs in the season opener of AROC 3. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back soon. So the first of 3 green-white checkered attempts, Jeremy Brio. The AROC 1 champion will be starting on the outside. Aiden Norman, the AROC 2 champion, will be starting behind Jeremy Brio. John Honeybrink has control of the field. Tom Sears in that Dayglow 14 will be behind the 2-0. Dustin Painter in the 6-5, the olive-colored car. Thomas Andrews in the navy-colored machine. 5 miles remain. The green flag is out. Honeybrink will get to the line first. 2 laps to go.
Yeah, and we're 2 laps to go here, but I know these guys up front are racing pretty hard, but I personally like where Ryan now is setting. Even though he's taking that run on the inside, I almost would have probably hung back just a little bit longer as they go down the backstretch here. And Tom Sears giving Honeybrink a heck of a push as Jeremy jumps down to the inside.
Brio in that 7-4 yellow Mustang has 2 more Mustangs behind him. 3 Holdens up on the top. More contact. There goes Aiden Norman through the air. There goes Andrews, who's now flipping over. John Honeybrink has the lead. Tom Sears behind him. Jeremy Brio is in 3rd. Jimmy Kurt the 3rd makes it through. Dustin Painter gets turned around. Thomas Andrews gets turned around. Aiden Norman, the AROC 2 champion, whipped through the air like a rag doll. And caution is out again. We're going to rack them, stack them, and do this one more time. Let's see what happened to Aiden Norman.
A real quick question for you, Rick. How many fast repairs do these guys have?
They get 1.
So damage definitely going to play in a factor.
Damage is going to keep a lot of these guys out of contention. Bump drafting looks like was the precursor behind that one. It just really looked like it. Aiden Norman looks like he just got a bumper full of Thomas Andrews, and that's all she wrote, really. See if we can get just a higher angle on this. Keep your eye on that Navy 2 car. He's going to be behind the orange 6-2. Brio shoots to the inside. And watch this. Now, I would not be too surprised to see if netcode had any factor in this whatsoever, Toby, but we're going to see if there's any moonlight at all between Thomas Andrews and Aiden Norman. Check this one out. Oh, no netcode at all. No netcode at all. That was enough. Well, let's go on board with Aiden Norman and see how this one works out. Now with Dustin Painter. Thomas Andrews. John Honeybrink. Tom Sears. So Jeremy Brio has control of the field. The AROC 1 champion will have John Honeybrink starting to his outside. Tom Sears will be in 3rd. If these guys can get their race cars repaired. There's Dustin Painter in the 6.5 missing a hood. Ryan Pennell's behind him, who's got a damaged right side. Thomas Andrews in that number 2. He's got some scrapes on him. but Brio's got the lead, and we're definitely in overtime now. This is going to be our second of 3 green-white checkered attempts. Jimmy Kerr in the lime machine, Tom Sears in the Dayglow machine, not to be confused. Although they look really similar.
Yeah, and if I'm Jeremy here, on this restart, I don't want to get too huge of a jump because these cars suck up quick. I mean, golly, man, I would almost prefer to be in almost last here.
We're going to see what strategy works out. Fans at home, thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. We're going to have podium interviews at the end of this for everybody that has made this race happen. My thanks to Toby Estes. My thanks to Ryan Pinnell of ARCS. My thanks to Tom Sears. My thanks to Tom Andrews for their administration as well. Everybody that's helped put this together, but most especially you, the fan. We cannot do this without you. Thank you. Thank you, thank you so much. For more information about the Alliance Racing Championship Series, head on over to racearcs.com. Racearcs.com is where you're going to find all the information about this wonderful series and the celebration that is the ARCS Race of Champions. And we cannot forget Drip, Diecasts, and Collectibles bringing us tonight's race, your #1 Facebook store for any NASCAR memorabilia, new, old. You can find it there. Head on over to Drip, Diecast, and Collectibles on Facebook, your only store for NASCAR memorabilia. Go on and get yourself a piece of history. 2 more laps to go. 5 more miles to decide a winner at Daytona. These cars have been through the ringer, and they've only got to survive 2 more circuits. The pace car peels off. Brio this time with control of the field, coming to the white flag. 2 to go to the green flag, I'm sorry. 2 laps to go. Let's go racing.
And you see a couple cars lagging back from that restart. Not sure if I'm a huge fan of that, but Jeremy getting out to a huge lead, and that's not gonna pay off in his favor at all, as these 2 cars on the outside have a huge run. I expect to see somebody make a move down here in the middle of the backstretch.
There goes Honeybrink down to the inside. Brio can't defend, but maybe it's where he wants to be. Maybe he wants the run after the white flag. Brio does not want to lead coming out of turn 4. Southampton, Massachusetts, Tom Sears to the inside now. Brio on the outside. Toby, they're going to make it to the white flag. 2.5 more miles.
Oh my Lord, look at the run on the outside. Yeah, definitely don't want to be leading this race towards the end, as they're bumping each other like crazy. Cars all over the track.
Aiden Norman not in contention. The orange Holden on the outside, holding up Thomas Andrews, or maybe offering some sort of help with the draft. Honeybrink in the 2-0 has Sears behind him, 3 wide as you would expect down the back straight. Only round 1, but they want their hands on that money. Andrews now behind Norman, again not fighting for the lead. Honeybrink sits just up ahead. There goes Painter behind him. Car starting to wreck. Catania hold it together. 4 cars spinning. John Honeybrink with control. Sears behind him. Under the lights at Daytona, it's going to be John Honeybrink who wins round 1 of AROC.
Definitely would not have expected that. I would have expected somebody way further back in the field to win that, but I mean, hats off to him running clean there on those last few laps. I mean, taking the run when he got it, sticking his line, and it's the best you can do, especially in these cars.
John Honeybrink holding it together for that entire last lap. The number 20 pink Mustang wins the race for Ford. Fireworks going off in celebration. Honeybrink comes home with the win, and he's no stranger to winning in ARCS, Toby. John Honeybrink winning the 300th race in ARCS, which just so happened to be the Michigan round of AROC 1. Moving awfully slow. I don't know if he's out of gas or what, but John Honeybrink crawling in turn number 3 now. And we'll see. Here comes Ryan Pinnell possibly to help him move forward. Dustin
There's
Painter.
no way. Is he out of fuel? Holy cow. He's out of fuel.
He last pitted on lap 50. He's out of gas. He pitted on lap 50, and he must have put in enough fuel to go those 16 laps. John Honeybrink out of gas. Ryan Pinnell's going to push him back to the pits. Let's get one more look at that last lap. It was quite a finish. Coming to the white flag, 3 wide behind them, Toby. Norman on the outside again. Aiden Norman not in contention for the win on this one. Look at Tom Sears blocking below that yellow line. And I'll tell you what, Brio goes to the inside, and I wouldn't be very surprised at all if John Honeybrink stayed right there to keep Aiden Norman in the way where he was. Tom Sears coming to push Honeybrink up to the lead, and then they're going to wreck behind him.
I mean, you talk about cutting it close. that's all. I don't know if it's luck, skill. You call it what you want, but don't even have enough fuel to do a burnout. I wouldn't even care at this point. I would honestly be pretty happy with winning this race.
Thomas Andrews beat Tom Sears to the line by 5/100ths of a second, and there's John Honeybrink out of gas, and he's going to come to a dignified jump to the pits. So fans at home, don't go anywhere. We're going to have top 3 on the podium in just a couple of minutes. On the podium now with our top 3, starting with Southampton, Massachusetts. Tom Sears, the 2-time Thursday Night Thunder champion, coming away with a bronze medal tonight. Tomo, great run for you, buddy. 3rd place.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I want to thank you for putting on this year AROC. It was a great series. We got all of our champions from ARCs to come out and all race each other. So things can get pretty crazy, and also can be some pretty fun racing. I'll be honest, we were laughing our asses off going 3 wide in the beginning of that race, and all through the race it was really fun. So I could say one thing: last TNT race of the season, I wrecked John Honeybrink coming to the checkered flag there. He's gonna get the win. Wrecked him, and I wanted to make sure that I could repay the favor. So when I saw that pink 20 in front of me at the end of the race, I really pushed as hard as I could, because I don't want to wreck my friend like that. It's not cool. So definitely was feeling bad, and wanted to make sure I could help as much as I could get a win here. So that was really fun.
Next week, we're going to take this cash grab, as it were. We're going to take this 6th race cash grab to COTA, man, the Circuit of the Americas. You got another podium in you?
We'll see. Gonna have to practice, make sure we're good to go, but hopefully we can, and stay in the points up here.
We'll see you in a week's time. Congratulations on your bronze medal. Toby, you've got our silver medalist tonight.
Thomas Andrews, how you doing, buddy?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, obviously an up and down race for everybody here. These cars are most definitely nonetheless a handful. Just kind of talk us through the last couple laps there, and what you've seen, and why you chose the line you chose.
That was an up and up race. That was just so much fun. We need to scrap these road courses and just do super speedways the whole time. That was such a blast. These guys drove with so much respect. The fact that we only had a couple cautions in those first, 40, 50 laps just goes to show you how much room we were giving each other, because these cars are a handful, but man, they're a lot of fun. But to go back to the last portion of that race there for me, got into Aiden there a little bit. I lifted to kind of to not get into him, and then the car behind me got into me a little bit, just like kind of a racing deal. And he hate that I wrecked his night, but he'll come back and win like the road courses, so he'll be fine. And then started in the back there in that green white checker, and I was really hoping that Sears would race that 20 truck, that 20 car, because I was coming hot, but just a little bit short there. But definitely will take a P2.
Yeah, and a good finish for you. And obviously, like Rick James said, next week we'll be going to COTA. So I mean, more or less, you could say it's going to be these type of cars. Expertise. A lot of people is going to be a lot quicker than than obviously some of the field. So I mean, how do you feel going into COTA next week with these cars, and how do you feel your chances are of not only maybe grabbing a win, but obviously getting another podium finish?
Feel terrible about it. I'm not. We've got guys like Aiden and Jeremy and Sears and some of these guys who are just absolutely super fast on these road courses, and I don't stand a chance. So we'll just show up. We'll run our desired laps and probably call it a day. So we'll give it the best we can, but I don't plan to be on. And especially you too, Toby. You're pretty fast here too on road courses. So definitely not. If I get a top 5, that'll be a miracle. But we're just going to have fun this season.
Yeah, and I agree. And obviously, a fantastic P2 finish for Thomas Andrews. Good way to kick off the first race of the series, and hopefully you can continue your success in this series and get a good chance to grab that $200. And Rick James, I'll pass it off to you.
Our winning interview brought to you by Drip Diecasts and Collectibles, your #1 Facebook store for any NASCAR memorabilia. Check them out, Drip Diecasts and Collectibles, your only place to go for NASCAR memorabilia. Get on to Drip Diecasts and Collectibles and get yourself a piece of history. John Honeybrink coming away with that Daytona win. Twisted Navy, as they used to call him back in the Xbox days. My man John, how did you see the win coming when the white flag was in the air? Did you think it was going to end like that?
Not really. There was a really strong chance that Tom Sears went high there and raced me down. And I'm just thankful he pushed me to the win. That was awesome. That was freaking awesome. That was fun. I saw the outside lane coming. I'm glad he stayed behind me. I ran out of gas right at the line. It was just an amazing finish. I gotta thank Tom Sears again. That was good pushing.
Circuit of the Americas in 7 nights, Twisted. Is it going to be 2 wins in a row? You are in pole position for that sweet $200.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to get some practice in this week. Look forward to it. There's a lot of fast other guys out there in the field who are gonna run me down, but I'll do my best.
We'll see you in a week's time. Congratulations again on the win, Twist.
Thank you.
Fans at home, that does it for the opening round of AROC 3 right here on Rick James TV. My esteemed thanks to my Kentucky colleague, Toby Estes. My thanks to you, the fans, for tuning in. Again, none of this is possible without you. Monday night, no ENEA racing as they take a break during the playoffs, so the next race here on Rick James TV will be this one, AROC, next Thursday, right here, 8 p.m. Eastern on Rick James TV. And until that next race, everybody, please stay safe.